Hello everyone. My name is Darren and I'm one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT's School of Health Sciences. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this information session for the Prosthetics and Orthotics program. I want to say how happy we are to see you all and thank you very much for attending our presentation today. And just before we get going, I want to say that BCIT acknowledges that our province of British Columbia is located on the homelands of 203 distinct Indigenous nations and cultures with over 30 different languages and close to 60 unique dialects are spoken in the province. And we ask all participants to reflect, acknowledge, and honor in their own way the First Nation land on which we live, work, and play. I'm not on the Burnaby campus, so I had to switch up the acknowledgement a little bit there. Okay, for our agenda this evening is welcome and introductions. We're going to do a very quick poll. We'll watch a short prosthetics and orthotics video. We'll go through the presentation and program overviews. We'll have some information from program advising, and then we'll do the questions and answers at the end. So just before I introduce Lauren, I'm going to pull up a poll. Going to the list. Here it is. Hopefully everyone can see this. And the question is, how many of you know someone who wears or has worn an artificial limb, foot orthotic, or brace, a knee, back, a lower limb, etc.? And just yes or no answers, please. And now I'll introduce Lauren Schubert, the program head for the Prosthetics and Orthotics program. And you can talk about the poll if you like, and take it away, Lauren.
Thank you, Darren, and welcome everybody. As Darren mentioned, my name is Lauren Schubert. I'm the program head for the Prosthetics and Orthotics program. So welcome, we're happy to have you here. I graduated from this program myself in 2010 and have been practicing as a certified prosthetist and involved in education ever since. The world of P&O is an exciting and rewarding career, and I look forward to being able to share a little bit about the profession and about our program over the next little while here. And I'm going to pass it back to Darren, who's going to queue up a quick little video for you.
Many people in our community require the use of prosthetic and orthotic treatment. A prosthetist provides treatment for patients with limb loss. This treatment includes the provision of an artificial limb, known as a prosthesis. An orthotist provides treatment for patients with physical impairments. This treatment includes the provision of an orthopedic brace, known as an orthosis. Both professions require patient assessments, fittings, and follow-up care as part of the treatment process.
I think an aspect of prosthetics orthotics that most people don't understand is that we're quite unique in the fact that we get to see a patient or a client from the very beginning of their treatment process, and you get to be influential and part of the rehab team right through to the end. The really neat thing is that you make lifelong relationships with these people, so those patients become your patients for life, and so you see them ongoing. Even once the rest of the rehab team is gone, you're still involved with their care long term. And in fact, most amputees in particular consider their prosthetist their primary healthcare provider, the ones that they find a really important part of their care. And orthotically speaking, I think we have a very unique approach to patient care, in that, again, we see the whole picture from start to finish. We have the ability to modify that treatment program, to make adjustments, to intervene, and to make changes, and to go to the table with different types of options for them that are a really important part of taking them to the next level.
About 3.5 months ago, I had a skiing accident. They've prescribed me with this knee brace. The foot thing is basically, it allows me to walk as I would normally without an injury.
An undergraduate degree is a prerequisite to the 2-year diploma program, followed by a 2-year residency. A certification exam must be completed at the end of the residency to ensure qualification.
I like that right away we get our patient experience, and I also like that once a week we get to do rotations around the city, so that we can, for instance, we shadow orthopedic surgeons, physiatrists, physiotherapists, and we get to see patients from a different perspective. So we get to see them from the physiotherapist perspective and from the surgeon perspective, which is interesting when you compare it to how we see it with our own prosthetist and orthotist.
Prosthetic and orthotic practitioners work closely with other healthcare professionals such as physiotherapists and orthopedic surgeons to promote the highest standard of patient care. The field also relies heavily on the support of technicians, who are also specially trained for the prosthetic and orthotic field.
As a technical instructor, I try to teach the complexity of the manufacturing side of our profession. I try to expose them to the vast array of materials and procedures involved so that they can take that as a working knowledge and be comfortable applying that to their patients.
Every part of it I love. There's the personal satisfaction of actually getting to make something and fabricate something. There's the satisfaction of getting to help somebody in their lives. There's the fact that it's kind of artistic and yet at the same time very engineer-like. Just literally everything about it makes me excited to come to work every single day.
It lets me keep up with the other people in my class, especially in PE, and be really good in goalie. And pretty much, yeah, it helps me do most of the things that acquire moving.
The prostheses, it allows me to do anything I want to do. That, to say, I cycle, I jog sometimes, I like going for long walks. It allows me to do my work. I'm on my feet most of the day. It allows me to live.
I would say that it's a creative science and an art that goes together, and you're basically using your knowledge of materials, and you're using your knowledge of biomechanics, you're using your knowledge of physics, but also interpersonal psychology and quality of life kinds of things. You're trying to create a device for somebody that they can actually use to improve their quality of life.
In our P&O profession, the people that get into it, they genuinely care about other people, and I think that's a big plus right there. And one of the biggest misconceptions, I think people think that we just make people arms or legs or give them a brace. We just deliver a product, and to me it's just really disheartening to hear something like that, because you develop such great relationships with your patients. And I think the colleges and the universities are really preparing the students very, very well right now. And there's so much interest in research in our field. And I think it's really good that you have the chance to do a lot of research projects and things yourselves. And with that, I think the future of prosthetics and orthotics is going to be amazing. To me, it's not just doing my job, it's just getting into it. I love it. After all these years, it's just one of the best things, and I'm so happy that I picked this field over other fields.
It's exciting to be a part of this field at a time where there's so much change and so much new technologies coming out, and so it'd be exciting to see where this field is going to head in the future, and it's cool to be a part of.
With the laughing for 10 minutes.
Once.
Oh, we're in this video.
Yeah, we're good, we're good.
Okay.
If you want one of these, I'll sell it to you.
What's that? As a technical.
So,
See that on camera.
The Canadian Association for Prosthetics and Orthotics is the national professional organization for the field of prosthetics and orthotics in Canada. It represents more than 500 certified and registered practitioners across Canada and internationally. Its purpose is to promote professionalism, ongoing education, and awareness to both its members and to the public, and to encourage outstanding clinical and technical skills in the field of prosthetics and orthotics.
So as you saw in the video there, hopefully that gave you a bit of a glimpse into the profession of prosthetics and orthotics. As you would have noted, as explained, prosthetists and orthotists design and create custom orthopedic devices, and we really do get to provide lifelong treatment to the patients that we have the opportunity to work with. As mentioned, prosthetists work with those who have experienced limb loss or limb absence, maybe they're born without a limb, whereas orthotists work with those who maybe have experienced an injury or require some sort of bracing or support from an orthopedic device. It can be very rewarding. It is challenging at times, and it's constantly changing with technology and advances. As far as the image goes there, most of you probably know who that is. It's Terry Fox, a hero to Canadians for the impact he made related to cancer awareness. But he's also a local hero here to those in the Prosthetics and Orthotics program because of how he did it. Terry ran across Canada using a prosthetic leg, one that was actually designed and fabricated here in Vancouver. Although quite dated technology now, our profession helped to play a significant role in his life and enabled him to run all that way. We have the amazing opportunity to help patients just like Terry to achieve their goals and return to a functional life by providing prosthetic and orthotic treatment. So some fun facts about our program to learn a little bit more about what we do. So it really is a combination of art and science. We get to work with a combination of our hands, as well as working frontline with patients and making a difference in their life. We get to build lifelong relationships with the patients that we help. And it really is a combination of knowledge and skills. So that includes pathologies, biomechanics, physics, material sciences, anatomy, physiology, and much more. And as I mentioned, it is constantly evolving. There's new technology all the time. It really is an exciting time to be part of the profession. So our program, as in a snapshot, we have a 2-year program that includes 4 terms with the summer off in between term 2 and 3. We are currently taking 14 students, and our program runs every 2 years. So we have one cohort that goes all the way through 2 years before we accept another cohort. We have, on top of weekly classes, we have weekly clinical rotations where students have the opportunity to travel around to local clinics and rehab settings and learn a little bit more about allied healthcare professions that work with the patients that we also work with in the prosthetics and orthotics profession. We also have 2 hands-on 4-week practicums or placements where students get to apply what they're learning in the program in a clinic setting, and that can be done anywhere in Canada under the direct supervision of someone who practices in prosthetics and orthotics. So they do 1 in orthotics and 1 in prosthetics. In addition, we have a capstone research project that our students take on in pairs, and that spans the entire 2 years, starting from selecting an appropriate topic and then doing a literature review, followed by an ethics approval, and then conducting their own small-scale research project. And then they put all that together into a major paper and a presentation and a poster to present at our national organizations every 2-year conferences. In addition, some of our students choose to co-enroll in the McMaster University's Masters of Rehab Sciences program. I'm happy to answer any questions about that if they come up as well. The program itself is undergoing some changes currently, so happy to chat about that later in the questions and answers section or offline. So as far as job opportunities go and what you can expect upon graduation. So as mentioned in the video, after you complete the 2-year diploma at BCIT, students will go on to complete a 2-year paid residency anywhere in Canada, working under the direct supervision of a certified prosthetist or orthotist. The residency is overseen by our national organization, Orthotics Prosthetics Canada. And upon completion of their 2-year residency, they'll go on to challenge the certification exam, also overseen by Orthotics Prosthetics Canada. Our graduates go on to work at a variety of different places, including small private clinics, up to kind of multi-center clinics, to hospital settings. There's quite a wide variety of environments that our students might find themselves working at. It could be a small remote clinic, working as an independent clinician, all the way up to a very busy clinic in the city with many colleagues, and even the potential one day to own your own clinic. There are a lot of private practices in prosthetics and orthotics. Some students will go on to do a residency in prosthetics and then just do prosthetics as their career choice. Some will go on in a similar fashion to do orthotics and then practice in orthotics, or some may become dual certified in doing both residencies and both exams. But our program instructs our students in the basics of both prosthetics and orthotics. As far as compensation or salary goes, there can be quite a broad distribution of expectations depending on, or salaries depending on where someone finds themselves, private versus public, and which province as well. Typical resident salaries start out at about $55,000 per year and go up pretty significantly from there, depending on where you find yourself. And then upon certification after your residency, prosthetists and orthotists typically can range anywhere from $65,000 to $120,000, depending on, again, where they're located and their level of experience. And some may go on, like I mentioned, to go on and own their own business. And of course, the potential for compensation and salary is even greater then. So this next image shows just a brief glimpse of some of the activities or processes that we would follow in a day-to-day life of a student in our program and in practice as a prosthetist or an orthotist. So in the top left, you see one of our students performing an assessment. So that's a kind of the beginnings of how we would start working with a patient, learning about their unique needs, and really we're designing a device and a treatment plan that is unique to every patient we work with. So it's quite an important and lengthy process to get to know that patient, understand exactly what they require and how we can best provide treatment that helps to meet their needs and their goals. Then once we have a plan in place, we would typically perform a shape capture or copy the shape of their limb as a starting point to build the device for them. So in the top right-hand side, you can see one of our students using plaster, a roll of plaster. This is only one method that we can use to capture the shape of a patient's either residual limb or remaining limb or their full intact or affected limb. So wrapping plaster of Paris, and then we end up with a model that we can then fill and pour up with plaster. We can also use a different method where we would use a digital scan of a patient's limb, and then we could create a device digitally instead. So lots of different ways that we can approach it with similar outcomes. In the bottom left, you'll see one of our students working on a positive model that they've taken of a patient's limb. And that's where we get the creative side of things, where we get to change and manipulate how that patient's going to experience the device that we are designing for them. So whether that be tightening or loosening in certain areas, changing the pressure distribution, the way that it holds on to their limb, the support or stability that it provides, or the balance. So there's a lot that goes into designing the device and ensuring that we are considering the patient's unique needs as well as kind of their anatomy and physiology and exactly what's required for the outcomes that we expect to experience. And then from there, we would go on to either fabricate the device ourselves or work as part of our team and lean on our colleagues to fabricate the device. We have a variety of supports that happen within our prosthetics and orthotics profession, including administrative staff, technicians, and sometimes even digital designers. And then on the bottom right-hand side, then comes the evaluation of the device. And this is so much more than just trying it on and ensuring it fits and works. This is a lengthy process where we would go on to really optimize how it works for that patient, make sure it's meeting all of their goals. This is where we apply a lot of our physics and biomechanics knowledge to affect how that device is changing the way that person walks and hopefully benefiting them in a positive way. And then after that, we would continue to see that patient for ongoing follow-up to ensure the device continues to meet their needs and provide repairs and support along the way. And as I mentioned earlier, as soon as somebody requires a device like this, unless it's for a short-term injury purposes, they'll continue to require a device for the rest of their lives. And so we really do get the opportunity to see our patients quite regularly and become a big part of their lives. And this is just one testimonial from a student from our last graduating class that I wanted to share with you. There are a couple different factors that make me really love the profession of P&O. I enjoy the satisfaction of helping others. I like being creative when problem solving, but meticulous with follow through, and I enjoy the variety of working with my hands and my head. This profession allows me to have all of that in one place. I have the ability to connect with patients and help them meet their needs and goals. There's no one way of getting to a final answer when providing a treatment plan. So I get to use my clinical reasoning to decide what's the best course of action and allows me to be more creative. Since the devices are manufactured in-house, I also get to be creative about how those devices are designed in terms of material selection, fabrication techniques, and more. However, once that treatment plan is decided on, I get to be meticulous with the follow-through to ensure the device fits properly and meets the goals of treatment. Overall, it creates a very rewarding profession to be a part of. So thank you, Morgan, for that one. And I will pass things back to Darren.
Well, thank you very much, Lauren. That was excellent information. And this will take us to some admissions information. And we're very fortunate to have a program advisor, Suki, with us today. And she's going to go through the next few slides and give you a rundown on the admissions process. Take it away if you're ready, Suki.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Yeah, so as Darren mentioned, I'm a program advisor. So if you do have questions about entrance requirements, admissions process, anything along those lines, we're here to help you, and I'll give you our contact information at the end. So we'll just kind of go through it step by step. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, so unfortunately, the application's just closed, as you can probably see by the deadline date, but know that you have about 1.5 years to prepare for the next intake, which will, you can apply as of October 1st, 2025 until March 1st of 2026 for the September 2026 intake. So this program, as Lauren mentioned, does begin every 2 years. So just do your best to try to meet everything by October if you can. And do please note the residency requirement. So you do have to be a BC resident or from one of the provinces listed. This program is currently only available to applicants from Western Canada, so BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. You may be asked for some proof, like maybe a bill or something like that. So you should be a resident of one of these provinces at least 6 months prior to the program start date. So just be aware of that, depending on where you're viewing from today. So that's something just to bear in mind. So those application intakes are quite important, but you do have quite a bit of time from now until that next application intake. So with the application, it is online and it is relatively straightforward. Always check the website. We are changing things a little bit. So with the online application platform, it's always been bcit.ca/apply. By the time you are ready to apply for this program, it could be a little bit different. Some of our programs are moving to Education Planner very slowly, but by the time you're ready to apply, just kind of bear that in mind. Always check the website to see the entrance requirements for your particular intake. And any updated information will be there as well. So once the applications do open up for the 2026 cycle, October 1st, 2025, you can log in. You'll be able to review your online application if you start filling it out, and you can start working on it at your own pace. It doesn't go to the admissions office until you actually pay the application fee. The date you apply, it's not necessarily something that comes into play because it is a competitive admission process and you do have until the deadline to meet all the requirements. So if you do want to apply, right at the beginning, if you're ready to, you're more than welcome to, but if you apply in December or January, February, you're still going to be considered as long as you apply prior to that application deadline. So regarding the process, you're going to first review all the entrance requirements. And then you are going to make sure you're within the application processing dates. You're submitting all your documents within those dates. If you do need to upgrade, if one of your courses or more of them are not, the correct courses or anything like that, you do have some time to possibly retake a course or upgrade it. So that is something the admissions office will inform you if there is any missing requirements. When you apply online, you're going to want to make sure all your documents are converted to PDF files. And if you go to bcit.ca/admission, you're going to be able to see a step-by-step guide that'll show you the whole application process and how to go through it. Once you are ready to apply, again, right now it's at bcit.ca/apply, but that may change for your particular application intake. And the application fee for domestic students at this time is $90. And the application process will take place entirely online. So you don't want to send any documents to BCIT through mail. You're going to want to upload everything. So with the entrance requirements, you want to be very mindful. Again, just take a look before your specific application intake cycle to make sure that you are following the correct requirements. As of this time, you do need to meet the English requirement. We have lots of tests, we have courses, and of course you can use your high school transcript as well to meet the English requirement. There's also post-secondary courses. So again, connect with program advising if you are looking to try and meet this requirement. And we can help kind of provide all the options that are available for you. If you've done your schooling in Canada, the US, UK, New Zealand, or Australia, you can submit your transcripts as is. However, if you've done your schooling anywhere else, you will need a comprehensive evaluation of your credentials. We do have an organization called the International Credential Evaluation Service, ICES, that you can connect with to get that comprehensive evaluation. There are some other acceptable organizations as well, which you can check online, or once again, connect with program advising and we can refer you to those. So the comprehensive evaluation will basically take your previous education and it'll convert your grades and your credits into a Canadian format so that the admissions office, as well as the program, the department can take a look and see if what you did is equivalent to a Canadian bachelor's. So that does need to be done prior to applying or once you've started the application process. And with every evaluation service, bear in mind there is a cost associated with it and it can take time for them to complete that evaluation. So do double check and try to get that done as soon as possible, basically. The mandatory applicant questionnaire, this is something basically that gives you an opportunity to highlight any non-academic experience you may have that's going to strengthen your application. And you want to highlight all of your skills and abilities on this. So do your best, try to provide as much detail as possible and showcase why you're the best kind of candidate for this program. There's also at this time a Casper test required. This is an online assessment that's done. And it's basically utilizes everyday scenarios or moral dilemmas that are presented to you as the test taker. So there's really no right or wrong answer because we all think differently. We all feel differently about certain situations. You can't really study for this test, but there's a full 12-section Casper sample test available online that you can take a look through just to kind of get a feel for the test. And make sure you do go to the Casper site if you would like some more information on this. And that'll assist in kind of when you're ready to take it. Again, take this test closer to when the application intake opens up. There will be specific test dates for prosthetics and orthotics at that time. So to be a successful applicant, technically there is no specific GPA required to apply to the program. However, a strong application is going to have a strong GPA. That's always preferred. It shows an aptitude for post-secondary coursework. And that is one piece of the picture. So obviously in healthcare, you want to be a well-rounded individual, having good academics, but also being a people person, someone who's able to connect with individuals. That's also very, very important. So successful candidates are going to be well-rounded. Selected applicants often possess consistently strong marks, a demonstrated interest in this specific field, and relevant recent volunteer or work experience. So a B+ average, that'll be advantageous to your application, especially in the preferred courses. Volunteer or paid work experience hours involving direct interaction with people with cognitive, emotional, or physical disabilities. That's always helpful as well. So if you volunteer at a wheelchair basketball organization, special events, camps, rehab settings, prosthetics and orthotics clinics, that'll all be very beneficial to your application, and it'll give you a much better perspective of this industry as well. So preference for experience is within the last 5 years, as well as some of the courses. So just bear that in mind when you are preparing your application. All right, so the admissions process, basically admissions is going to take a look at your application and they're going to review it to ensure that all the requirements have been met. This can take 2 to 4 weeks usually. And if your application is complete, it will be forwarded to the program area for further assessment. And it will sit with the department until the deadline date. After the deadline date, the department will go through and compare and contrast all the applicants. In recent years, in recent intakes, it's basically 1 student is chosen out of 3. And that'll be basically the same for this coming September 2024. So it is a competitive program. So they get multiple applications compared to the seats they have available. After the deadline date, the Prosthetics and Orthotics Department will shortlist and select applicants and do some interviews. After these interviews are done and the final selections are made, the admissions officer will send acceptance letters, and those accepted or offered a seat will pay a commitment fee of $500.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciated for all that excellent information.
No problem.
I'm just going to switch gears just for a moment before we get to the question and answer segment. And I'd like to let you know about BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense, which means that we want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. And some of the student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will be available to you once you become an enrolled student. And here's some of the important student supports that I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. And BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aid and awards webpage. And I'd like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award, and the selection is based on academic achievement, but also volunteer and community service. And you can contact financial aid directly for more information about that. BCIT is committed to providing assistance to students with permanent or temporary disabilities. And if you have been accepted to a program and believe you may need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to connect with our Accessibility Services Department. And BCIT's Student Health Services is a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus, and they provide medical care for current BCIT students all year round. We also have a counseling and student development department, and that's available to help you enhance your educational performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT. And last but not least, our recreation services promotes, encourages, and enables the practice of physical well-being. So we consider recreation an integral part of campus life and welcome all students to enjoy their services. This is some important information about program advising. And don't hesitate to contact program advising if you have a question or are unsure of something, and they can answer questions regarding entrance requirements, the application process, student resources, success strategies, and program schedules, and many other things. And they're available to assist on specific days by email or in person and virtual appointments. So please go to bcit.ca/advising for their most up-to-date contact information and service hours. The School of Health Sciences would love for you to connect with us on social media. So you can definitely connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And we try to update those whenever we can with something fantastic. And to learn more about the Institute as a whole, you can go to bcit.ca and learn about tours, visit and have a spend a day. Big info, of course, happens a couple times a year and is very important. info sessions like the one we're at right now, and of course, bcit.ca/advising to get answers from a program advisor. So if after today you think of a question, these are two excellent email addresses to have handy. There's Lauren's if you have a program specific question. And of course, if you have any admissions questions, you can send program advising an email and they'd be more than happy to check that out. And of course, on the Prosthetics and Orthotics program page, there is a FAQ that has a bunch of information that you may also find useful. And that brings us to the questions and answers. Now, I noticed that no one has put any questions into the chat, but if anyone is uncomfortable doing that, they can unmute themselves and ask directly. I'll just give anyone a minute or two, just in case they're composing something. If Lauren or Suki have any thoughts they want to share while we're just waiting for a moment, please feel free.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. I would say just I'll put one more plug for the frequently asked questions. It was generated based on about 3 years of program inquiries. And so they are questions from others that were in the exact same position as you. And so it may answer some questions you didn't know you had. So I would encourage you to check that out. And it'll certainly help to support your application or answer some questions about the profession and the program.
And a quick question just came up in the chat. Does the program ever allow direct entry from high school?
Yeah, thanks for your question. Unfortunately, our program does require an undergraduate degree or 4-year equivalent, and has been the case for about the last 12 years. So we do have a fairly competitive entry, as was mentioned, about a kind of 1-to-3 ratio of seats to applicants, and so we do have that as a minimum entry requirement, and have been able to achieve that with our successful applicants for quite a few years.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the chat is jumping up and down. Let's see what it says there. Hi there. Thanks for the presentation. I was curious about emerging technology regarding prosthetics and how that's evolved.
Yeah, that's a big question. Probably one that would be bigger than I can answer in just a few minutes. But I would say, as far as our profession is concerned, it's an exciting time because there are a lot of opportunities for integrating new technology into a variety of different practice areas. But at the same time, the more tried and true methods of practice are still very valid and still used today. So we try to find a good balance between, in our program, instructing our students on methods and knowledge that has been well established and well used, while at the same time trying to expose them to new technology that's coming out. And that can be anything from, as I mentioned, assessment and clinical tools, such as instead of using plaster to take shape capture, using digital scans and creating digital online devices. And then we can even look at, we have a 3D printer at our program, so looking at different ways to manufacture devices. We have a gait lab in our program space as well, so looking at different analysis tools to assess patient treatment outcomes. And then it comes also quite a bit down to new and up-and-coming device options for patients. So whether it's microprocessor designed prosthetic knees or hands, or a real wide variety of new components and products that are kind of coming to market and available for patients. So I'm just scratching the surface with that, but kind of gives you a bit of an overview of how technology affects both our program and clinical use, as well as patient options.
Sarah asked, I finished my degree 14 years ago. How much does that affect my chance of admission?
Yeah, I could take a stab at that one as well. So good question. We do get this one quite a bit. we have that 5-year recommended time frame of how recent your courses are. For a lot of students, that affects sometimes even their courses that they took in their first year of undergrad degree, and then maybe they applied a year or two after they finished their undergrad degree. So this is a very common situation. Really, our hope is that students that we accept into the program will be able to succeed through the program, and will be able to meet kind of the workload and make their way through the program successfully. So one way that we can assess that is if someone has taken recent courses and completed those preferred courses recently, it assures us that they'll be able to succeed in the program itself. So it's not to say that that it has to be within the last 5 years, but if we had an exact replica of 2 students and both were exactly the same, which never happens, of course, and one student had completed their courses 10 years ago and one completed them 5 years ago, then of course we would view the more recent applicant as having greater potential for succeeding through the program because of their recent academic studies. But I would encourage you to apply. We have had some students in the past who have completed their past academics quite a while ago, and they have been successful at getting into the program. So it's just one aspect that we look at.
Great, thanks, Lauren. And that takes us to our 45-minute limit. So I would want to thank everyone for being with us today, and I want to wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you, Lauren and Suki, for your excellent information. And we hope to see you all on campus one of these days. And good luck with your future in health sciences. So good night, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.